those retirement risks? Well, there's a lot there that we need to be working on, but one of those avenues that we can go down to help do that is by taking away the risk of that increasing income that's subject to the stock market or subject to the bond market or real estate turning down, by having more secured, guaranteed lifetime income. And like I said, we're going to be spending a lot of time on this, so I really want to be going through this, and I'm going to be going through this a little quick. So I don't want you to feel that you have to be really keeping up and understand every little concept. Again, if you have questions about this, I'm here for you to ask questions about. You can email us at info@lionswealth.com again, and we will be happy to answer any questions you have in this arena. Well, I think Time Magazine really put it well, that securing at least a base level of lifetime income should be every retiree's priority, at least if they want to live happily ever after. Now, there are three, realistically speaking, different ways that we can have a guaranteed lifetime income. Well, we have a pension here. We talked about the pension. Now, I have a question though. What is a pension? It's a lifetime income annuity. It's a paycheck for life. Second place, we have Social Security. Well, we've already talked about Social Security, but what is Social Security? Well, it's a lifetime income annuity. Again, it's a paycheck for life. And what the math and the science dictates, what we talked about before with all the studies of retirement, just going back to the math and the science, not based upon facts that are, not based upon thought processes, not based upon the feelings, but based upon facts and science, that we have to have that really covering all of your basic necessities. Now, what happens if your pension and your Social Security do not cover all of your basic necessities? Well, then we have to go out and get more guaranteed lifetime income from annuities. And this is from an insurance company. Now, I understand you most likely are thinking, and you're not alone here in saying that, well, geez, I don't like annuities. Susie Orman doesn't like annuities. Dave Ramsey doesn't like annuities. Even Ken Fisher takes out these huge advertisements saying he doesn't like annuities and you shouldn't either. Well, I'm a little interested of why people say that, because when you get your pension, that's a lifetime income annuity. And so are you going to actually call up HR and say, stop sending me those annuity checks? Or are you going to be calling up the Social Security Administration and saying, stop it, I don't want to see those checks here anymore. Just stop sending me those. I don't think so. So when we really dive down to it, it really comes back down to people have a huge aversion to annuities that are sold by insurance companies. And when it really comes back down to is the fees that are associated with them. And when you take a look at them, there are many annuities that have no fees attached to them whatsoever. Now, there are some that do have some fees. There are some index annuities that have some fees on the riders, or there are some variable annuities that have some fees associated with them. But as a whole, you can find ones that have low fees. And you can't retire on low fees alone. You have to retire on the income, remember. So think about it this way. It's realistically speaking like a car. And let's say that you went out and you were looking to buy a new car. Well, gas mileage was really important. So you started looking at the Prius and you're going to get 75 miles per gallon. Well, maybe it's such that you want actually a different color. You want a bed to put all of your gardening equipment in. You want something that will actually have a good sound system, or maybe you have a very rugged road that the Prius can't be on, so you may need a pickup. Well, those are two totally different ways of going from point A to point B. And it's not just about the gas mileage at this point. It's about all of the other necessities. Yes, gas mileage is just one aspect of it. Just like with annuities, the fees are just one aspect of it. And if we can get the lowest amount of fees for what we're looking for that may actually be more beneficial to you than going to some other avenues, because now we can guarantee your retirement. And your ultimate success of your retirement is going to depend upon not how much money you have in your 401k, not how much money you have in your home equity or other savings you have. Now, why is that? Well, it's because the success of your retirement is not about all of those things. It's going to really be a paradigm shift here when I'm talking about this. It's not based upon that, because all of your assets can be lost. It can be stolen, swindled, sued, divorced, decimated, crash. There's a lot that can happen to this. And your money is really just numbers on a piece of paper. So your 401k is just numbers on a piece of paper. Your bank account is just numbers on a piece of paper. Your home equity is just numbers on a piece of paper. And what can you do with that? Well, you can either spend it or you can give it away. And you're going to spend it in your lifetime. And if you don't spend all of it, you're either going to give it away in your lifetime or you're going to give it away when you pass. You can't take it with you. And the success of your retirement depends, again, how you answer two questions that don't pertain to your assets. Question number one, how much guaranteed lifetime income do you have? And then the second one is, have you taken the key retirement risks off the table? And those risks are what we were talking about earlier with respect to inflation as well. It's the same risk. Well, what are these risks? Well, we have deflation. We have inflation, we have market risks, we have withdrawal rate risks, we even have sequence of return risks. You see, when we take a look at sequence of returns, that's actually a great risk that you have. But here's the thing, you look at this and you're like, geez, I don't understand. The markets have gone up 12% on average since 1924. Well, if they've gone up 12% on average since 1924, I'm here to say, you can't take out 12% of your account every single year. You can't take out 10%, you can't take out 8%, you can't take out 5%. The newest numbers today from Morningstar, who is a very large institution that really dives into not only investments, but all the research behind retirement, they say it's 2.8%. 2.8%. that you can take out, even though on average the stock market is going up over 12% per year. And here's the thing, averages mean nothing when it comes to retirement. It's the sequence of returns. So, quick story about a gentleman who retired in 1973, and between 1973 and 1995, the stock market averaged 10.1% per year. Now, his stockbroker told him he could take out 5% per year. But after that 22 years, he was flat broke. Flat broke. And it's because of the fact 73, 1974, and 1975 were down markets. And it doesn't matter if you're Warren Buffett himself. You can't be taking money out in a down market and expect to grow the money back in the good times. The math doesn't work that way. But here's the thing. Take a look at all of the risks here. There's one risk that's even greater. The number one retirement risk, longevity. That is what I call a risk multiplier. And here's where I'm going with this. If you retired at 65 and your average age that you lived to was 68, like it was back in 1935 when Social Security was getting started, it doesn't matter if the stock market drops by 10,000 points. It doesn't matter if inflation is at 10% per year. It doesn't matter if we have long-term care needs, because you're not going to live long enough to make it matter. But longevity is a multiplier of all of the other risks that we have. And so the smartest PhDs who study retirement say we need to take that longevity risk off the table. Now, how do we do that? Well, stocks can't do that. Mutual funds can't do that. Managed money cannot do that. Real estate can't do that. No, it's only just a couple very short types of investments. It's a short list. It's a single premium immediate income annuity, deferred income annuity, a fixed indexed annuity, variable annuity. That's about it. But what do these all have in common? The word annuity. That's what they all have in common. And when you look at all of the different types of ways that this works, it really is something that only an insurance company can do, because you see, insurance companies are on what you call both sides of the risk spectrum. They're on the mortality and the longevity. So mortality, that's when you die. So that's what life insurance guards against. Life insurance guards against your passing. And what's the biggest risk for an insurance company with insurance, life insurance, is the fact that you die too soon. So let's say you take out a $1 million policy. Well, great. You paid $25 for that first month because those term policies are actually very cheap. But the very next day, you turned around and got hit by a bus. Well, the insurance company is going to have to pay out $1 million for that $25 investment. So that's actually a really good investment on your standpoint there. But that's a risk to the insurance company. But here's the other aspect. What is the risk of you living to, say, 118 years old? You are 118 and you are still kicking, you're still going strong, and there's no way you're going to die tomorrow. And every single month, the insurance company is on the hook to pay you money in the form of that annuity, those lifetime income that keeps coming in. So that is what the insurance company, that's their risk of you living too long. Well, now you can start to see here that some of it is that you're living too short, some of it are not long enough, and some of it is that you're living too long. Well, those start offsetting each other. And so this is the reason why insurance companies can do this, because they're on both sides, the mortality and the longevity. And what we take a look at now is that we want to be able to protect not only from you dying too soon, but also from you living too long. And that's where the guaranteed lifetime income comes into play, and why it is to help retire optimally. Well, so if we're talking about this, the lifetime income annuities, well, what are they? Well, it's a pension-like stream of guaranteed lifetime income from a financial institution. So it's a guaranteed income stream. And here, we're going to be sending you money every single month, just like what a pension is, just like what Social Security does, just like what your paycheck was doing. And with your paycheck, you would spend some money, but you'd also save a little money and you do some other things with it. But with this, you always will have that money coming in, and you do not need to save it, because the very next month, you're going to receive a whole new set of income. That's what the annuities guard against, and that's what that lifetime income pension guards against. And the people that are the most unhappy are the ones that don't have this pension-like stream of income, because they don't know how long they're going to live. They don't know what the returns are going to be with the stock market, and they don't know how much they can take out every single month. That's a huge aspect to it. And let's also go back to the psychology behind it. So not just talking about the money, but the psychology behind this as well. Think about going back to work. We got a paycheck every single month, and you put some of that money aside into your savings. Well, now you've had 40 years of savings, and the government's saying, oh, well, okay, you can retire, great. And you're starting to think, well, I can't take money out of my accounts. I've been saving money in. I've only known how to save money into those accounts. I don't know how to take money out. And it doesn't feel right to start taking money out. And I'll ask you a question here. Would you take a large sum out of your 401k account and go buy a boat tomorrow just because you retired? The answer is probably not. because it doesn't feel right. And that's the psychology behind it. You call that the psychoeconomics. And so what this does is it translates your hard-earned wealth into something that feels better, something that feels right to you, having that stream of income coming in. Well, how do we look at this? And here's our annuity payout rates that you can find. You can find this anywhere online. And they have 3 different parts to it. They have the principal, the money you put into it. They have the interest that grows. But the other part of this, that's the secret sauce. That's what we call longevity credits. And you can't get these from stocks. You can't get these from bonds. But what the math and the science say is that the more longevity credits you have, the higher your probability of success is in retirement. So let's talk about that. What is a longevity credit? Well, let me talk about it in way of a story here. Look at these 5 women. They've been going on vacations every year for the past 20 years. They're all 90 years old, and now they're going on a vacation again. So they started thinking about, hey, let's do something fun this year. Let's all put $100 into a mason jar, seal it up, and then we'll bring it back next year with us. And for whoever's still around, we'll split the money. And they all thought that was a great idea, so that's what they do. So they put $100 into the jar, they seal it up, and you know what happened the very next year? They forgot where it was. No, no, they didn't. They brought it with them, but unfortunately, one of the ladies had passed away. So now they don't have the splitting of that $500 between 5 of them. They have that $500 split between 4 of them. So they're each receiving $125. Now, let me ask you a question here. How much of this was invested in the stock market? Nothing. What interest rate did they earn? 0. So all of this return were longevity credits. That extra 25% was longevity credits. Well, they thought, geez, this is a great deal. So let's put the money back into the jar, seal it up again, and we're going to do this again next year. Well, sadly, again, another of their friends passed away. And so now they're splitting that 500 between the 3 of them. So no more money was put in, but each one of them is having $167 returned to them. So that is a 67% rate of return in just 2 years with no money in the stock market and no interest rate growth either. So that's what longevity credits do. And you're sitting here and saying, well, geez, I want my money to go to my kids, not to someone else. I want my grandkids to be able to have access to this. And I'm saying, great. That's what some of these annuities are doing now, that they'll actually pay for you, they'll have the money paying out for your spouse, your kids, even your grandkids. But those are the longevity credits. And this is a really easy way to understand. But obviously, you may not be liking that story, just it may not conceptually look right. So let's just take a look at a graph too, just to highlight a different way of how it works. Well, we have in the red the principal you have. That's the return of principal. Now, anyone can do that. Anyone can give you your money back. The other element, that gray piece, that's the growth of your investments, the interest rates, all of those aspects. Well, again, anyone can do that. Anyone can give you those back. But that last piece, the longevity credits, only a life insurance company can manufacture those credits. Why? Well, it's because they're on both sides of the risk, the mortality and the longevity. Now, you're going to sit here and say, well, I can create a portfolio of stocks and bonds that are going to do really well and outpace this. And I'll say, great, go ahead and do that. I'm going to reach into those bonds. I'm going to take some of them out, and I'm going to replace them with this annuity that pays the longevity credits. And I'm going to do that because it'll act like the best rated bond you will ever see, but it'll pay interest and income to you like the worst rated bond that you'll ever see. And what the math and the science actually show is that will actually help increase your rate of return, actually help lower your overall risk, and help you to have a more successful retirement. So the math and the science is really important to me behind this because it really dictates what a good retirement will be like. Well, obviously, there's other aspects to this as well. There's the happiness factor. It's not enough just to have this. Let's take a look at how the happiness factor plays into this. Now, this was a study done by the Wall Street Journal. It said a secret to a happier retirement: friends, neighbors, and a fixed annuity. Think about some of the happiest people that you know. Maybe a lot of your friends. Are they retired teachers? Retired professors? Maybe they worked in the military or the government. Well, what do they all have in common? They all have a pension. And they're not having to invest into risky assets. And they don't have to be miserable because they don't have to be subject to all these ups and downs of the stock market. Now, speaking about misery, Great Britain's always been known as what they call the land of the grumps. And so Time magazine picked up on this, and they said a new study in the land of the grumps revealed that the retirees who have a guaranteed lifetime income stream can find true happiness. So it actually shows that we can actually improve some of the most unhappy people in the world. And then it ends with saying securing at least a base level of lifetime income should be every retiree's priority, at least if they want to live happily ever after. Pretty interesting reason and compelling reason there. But this is also funny as well. University of Chicago did a study a couple of years ago about this, and it was actually picked up by Tower Watson and then actually written about in the book Freakonomics. So go ahead if you've read that book, awesome. If you've never read that book, well, I would definitely say it's a fun read. It's all about how there's a lot of different types of relationships all around the world. But what they said is that there are 3 ways to live longer and happier. The first way, on average, to live longer and be happier in retirement is if you were inducted into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. And on average, yes, you will live longer and be happier than anyone else. Second way that you can live longer and be happier is if you won the Nobel Prize in economics. Now, I do think that's a little self-serving of them, but supposedly that's the thing that comes out, that they, on average, are living longer and are happier because of it. Third way that they came up with, if you have a guaranteed lifetime income stream from an annuity. So you're really starting to see that living longer and happier come back down to that securing the levels of income that you need. And you know, this is even written about over 200 years ago. Remember Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen? Well, if you go in and take a look at this, and you probably haven't read the book in a while, because you know you probably were in high school maybe when you read it last, but if you observe, people always live forever when there's an annuity to be paid to them. The annuity is a very serious business, and it comes over and over every year, and there's no getting rid of it.